Hello, everyone. This is your first math lesson for distance learning, and my name is Mrs. Bauer. Each of the second grade teachers are taking a turn on creating a math lesson for you. Today, I'm going to be teaching you lesson 1, and it's all about clocks. Now, for some of you, this might be new learning. For others, it might be review. But let's get started on lesson 1. The first thing I want you to think about is, why do we need clocks? Why do we need to know what time it is? And it's important that we all understand, in the real world, we need to know how to read a clock. In the second activity, we're going to be working on telling time to the hour. And we're also going to be focusing on AM versus PM. So let's get started. I found this picture of a whole bunch of different clocks, and I want you to take a minute and look at them all. Some of them you've probably seen before. For example, when I look at this one, I think it reminds me of our classroom clock. When I look at this one, it reminds me of a Goosebumps book that we read in my classroom about a cuckoo clock. And here's one all the way over here, a grandfather clock. Boy, oh boy, I remember my grandparents had one of those. It was very big. But look at all those clocks. What do they all have in common? You can talk to somebody that's next to you, or you can even say it out loud. Did anybody notice this clock? Wow, look at that. It's so different. What is different about it? You're right. It doesn't have any numbers or any hands on it, but it still does tell time. You might have seen a timer like this maybe in a game that you've played before. Well, let's put our thinking caps on and let's brainstorm for a minute. I'm going to be flipping what you see back and forth so I can move the boxes. But my first question to you is, why do we have clocks? Go ahead, take a few seconds, do some math talk with anyone that's next to you or by yourself, and think about that. Why do we have clocks? All right, here's what Mrs. Bauer wrote down. Clocks tell us when it's time to wake up or go to school, when your parents have to go to work, and many other things throughout your whole entire life. Are those some of the answers that you thought of too? Let's look at number 2. How is a clock like a ruler? We've all worked with rulers and yardsticks and meter sticks this year already. So how is a clock and a ruler alike? Go ahead and take a minute and talk about that. Well, Mrs. Bauer put down that clocks are used to measure, and they have numbers, just like rulers. The last question is, well, if clocks are used to measure something, I know it's not inches, I know it's not centimeters, but then what does a clock measure? Did you say that clocks measure hours, minutes, and even seconds some of the time. Great work, everyone. Let's keep going. Here is a clock, and I want you to notice it has all the little lines all the way across. In fact, if you want, you can pause and count all those up right now if you want to. But our job right now is to say, well, what's missing from this clock? And where do I start? I'm sitting by my dog right now. What do you think, Piper? Well, she thinks we need to start with the 12. So I'm going to grab the 12 and I'm going to bring that all the way up to the top. Let's see if I can grab that and bring it on up. There we go. Now, when you have a clock, you work, we always say we're going in clock order, clockwise, and that means we are working around the clock going to the right. We start at the top with the 12, and then we continue 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. This is important. We're halfway through our clock now. Let's keep going. Oh, let me fix that one. 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Not quite done yet. 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. And now I'm right back up at the beginning and the top of the hour. Notice whenever we say top of the hour, we are talking about pointing at the 12. I think most of you know this. But do you know the difference between AM or PM? We use AM for any of the hours between 12 o'clock midnight and before 12 o'clock noon. So 9 o'clock AM means 9 o'clock in the morning. We use PM for the hours after 12 o'clock noon and before 12 o'clock midnight. 9 o'clock PM is in the evening. I have some pictures here that you can look at. Right here, AM means morning, PM means evening. We all know the difference between day and night. And look at this little kid's birthday party. 8:35 a.m. That's an early morning birthday party. 8:35 p.m. That's a nighttime birthday party. Well, let's practice a little bit. I have a lot of pictures here, and we need to put AM or PM on them. Sleeping. This little child is sleeping. It's 11 o'clock. Would that be 11 o'clock AM before noon, or would that be 11 o'clock PM afternoon? I hope you said after the noon hour. It is 11 o'clock PM. Let's look right here. Getting ready for school in the morning. 7 o'clock. Is that AM or PM? Make your guess. Correct. If you said AM, you are correct. School lunch. Boys and girls, we had school lunch so early. We had lunch at 10:30. Now that is before the noon hour. Most people don't have lunch that early, but we did. Did you say AM? How about this one? looking at the stars, 9:30. Is that AM or PM? PM is the correct answer. And now I have two left right here, AM and PM. And I have to figure out coloring. 8 o'clock. Well, is that 8 o'clock AM or 8 o'clock PM? Well, some of you might have said AM. You can color at 8 o'clock AM, and that's perfectly okay. Some of you might have said PM. I like to color before I go to bed because it calms me down, and that's perfectly okay too. Coloring can be done in the AM or the PM. You just need to decide which one it is if you are being asked a question. So let's look closer at that. Some activities are only evening activities, and some activities can be throughout the day, or it could be AM or PM. Now, take a look at this. This is Emma's distance learning schedule. And this is what Emma and I did. We created our daily schedule so that she had time to work a little bit, play a little bit, rest a little bit, read a little bit, and have some good balance. So let's get started. At 8 o'clock a.m., Emma wakes up and has breakfast. And look at that emoji. She likes that. At 8:30 a.m., she makes her bed and gets ready. She's got to do a couple chores before she starts her day. She's not so sure about that. At 9 o'clock a.m., she's going to start her schoolwork. She'll work for 2 hours. And at 11 o'clock a.m., she gets exercise time. Got to move your body. Noon is lunchtime. 12:30 p.m. is a quiet time. Kind of a rest. A lot of classrooms do this too. 1 o'clock p.m. playtime. 2 o'clock p.m. read to self or listen to reading, or maybe do a little bit of both. 3 o'clock p.m. still more time to do some schoolwork. At 4 o'clock p.m., I'm not sure if you can see that. Let me move my cursor. We are done and the school day is over. Whew, what a busy day. But Emma likes to have her schedule. So here's your assignment, boys and girls. And you get to use Math Talk, which means you can have anybody help you do this. Number 1, create your daily schedule with words or pictures. Maybe you've already done it. Number 2, be sure to use AM and PM. Number 3, take a picture of your schedule and record yourself reading it on Seesaw. Number 4, what parts of your schedule do you like or do you not like? Number 5, feel free to add pictures before you hang it up in your house. I can't wait to see all of your schedules. Last but not least, if you're looking for extra practice, there will be a Seesaw activity about telling time to the hour. Also, you can go on to Clever, and in the Clever there is a Math Trainer app, and you can do lesson 5.1. But remember, if you're going to use Math Trainer the first time, you have to enter your username as an email. So you put your username in, and then you put at sspps.org. You still can use the same password. Good job, everyone. I hope you enjoyed your first distance learning lesson. We will get better at this as we go. If you have any questions, let the teacher know right away.